Welcome to the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. I am your host, Nathaly Salas, an international real estate expert. Join me as we explore the thrilling world of global real estate. We'll uncover diverse international markets, backed by solid data and engaging insights. Each episode features expert guests from the hottest markets, providing you with the knowledge to invest wisely and successfully. Whether you are a local realtor aiming to go global or an investor curious about international opportunities, this is the podcast for you. Get ready to transform your approach and achieve global real estate success to become a real estate investment nomad. Hello, everybody. This is Nathaly Salas with the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Stephanie Aker, and we're going to talk a lot about compliance, global real estate, and she has a lot of experience in anything that has to do with associations. And I think it's super important to talk about this because sometimes we don't know enough all the resources we're given either through our membership as realtors or in general. There's so many networks. So thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's so good to see you. I'm so happy we're in the same city for once. Yes. I came from the real estate world. I was licensed for about 10 years and then moved over to the association side. And it was eye-opening to see how many resources are available for globally minded realtors. We have partners in 78 different countries. There's education, so just so many wonderful things to be able to grow your business.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those that don't know about NAR, NAR, can you share more about the meaning for people that are from outside the country and what it is for realtors here?
Yeah, so NAR, the National Association of Realtors, we support realtor members. You can't call yourself a realtor unless you're a member. We advocate, we do research, we offer education, but really what we do is we work to raise the level of professionalism, not only in the United States, but also around the world. And so there are international realtor members. Again, we have 78 different countries where we have international members who are realtors. Mm-hmm. So great opportunities for any of you who are not in the United States and are practitioners. Look and see if you can get involved with your local association, your real estate association. See if they're a partner of NAR. Reach out to me or Nathaly, and I'm happy to get you in touch so that you can too be a realtor member.
Thank you. No, I love that because at least for me, when I started in this career, I didn't have much information, and it gets overwhelming. It's like, where do you start when first you get your license, and then you work your market, but global seems so big for some realtors. And I don't know if it has happened to you now that you're in the other side of the real estate, organizations and benefits, like all the programs that they have. What do you see? Do realtors really maybe need more awareness on what's happening in the organizations? Because we're given so many resources, especially from NAR. Do you have to motivate more realtors to pay attention because they're like, oh no, global is too big. I don't know if I want to do it. It's too far away. I just want to focus on my market. Mm-hmm. So have you seen that trend changing?
I have seen that trend changing, and especially in a post-pandemic world, we're seeing a lot of change with digital nomads, people being able to work anywhere in the world. And so global, it's not just all over the world too, it's also in your market, because if you're working with international buyers, if you're working with anybody who's moving into your market or anybody who's moved within the last 2 years, NAR offers support. We offer the research, and we also offer a certified international property specialist designation, which teaches you how to work with different cultures and people from all over the world.
Yeah, and I would love to chat more about that. Mm-hmm. I think it's CIPS, mm-hmm. where you call it. And I saw it like when I was actively in Chicago about, the classes and everything that they have, the certification itself. But what are the benefits for a realtor from a different country or even from the US to belong to that group? Is it a group organization? What is it?
It is. So it's a designation just like an ABR or an SRES, any of the designations that NAR offers. And all of our international members as well as our US members are able to get it. There's different modules. It's a training, but it teaches you how to work with clients different cultures, different real estate practices around the world. And then you also get to be part of a special network. So there's a closed Facebook group that's just for CIPS, so you can exchange referrals back and forth. There's different events for CIPS. The CIPS group is a very, very tight-knit community. So globally, as a matter of fact, we have a couple of our members who are headed to Malaysia right now to meet with some of our other CIPS. And that's the first thing they do is when they're traveling, they look and they see, is there a CIPS? Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's like you have the community part is the most important one for trusting who you go and meet, and they have gone through the certification as well to make sure they're compliant and they kind of follow the rules, right?
It is because you know as well as I do, around the world, you look at countries like Portugal or Colombia or even the UK, there's no licensing, there's very little regulation. And so at least if you can work with a realtor member, and especially to work with the CIPS, you know that if you're working or transacting or if you're referring a client to one of those agents in that country, if they are a realtor member, if they are a CIPS, at least they're held to that same code of ethics and they follow those same practices.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at the beginning, I'm not the best student, so I was like, no, I don't want to go to another class, another certification. But when I saw the community behind it, I was like, wait, for the community, absolutely, because then you trust who you go and work with. At least for us in Mexico, the struggle was like, who can you trust? Because you don't know, at first there's no license required. Second, anybody can be a realtor. Third, you don't know what kind of properties they're going to show you. And then the legal part that you're going to expose your client to a property that might not be compliant, or they cannot have a title, or all the issues that can happen after. So having that trust into a community that have gone through certain training and certain things like that, it helps so much.
Yeah, they've gone through that training, and all of our realtor members around the world, they abide by that same code of ethics that we do here in the US. So even though, again, you know, there may not be the licensing or the regulation, at least you know that they're abiding by that same code of ethics. They've had that training, and they're just as invested in keeping the profession successful as you are.
Awesome. And I want to switch a little bit because we want to come back to the global part, but I want to hear more about you and your personal story, if you can share, and how you got involved in global. Because at least from what I hear, some realtors are just afraid, or it just seems too big. So some of us that love it and we do it every day, we're like, it's not that hard. You can actually just open your laptop and be like, I just want to go global and I just need to find the path. How was the path for you? How did you get into this field?
So my path was a little bit different. I was a single mom, and I always wanted to get into real estate, but a little bit challenging, you know, having, you know, commissions and the day-to-day. And so I was able to get in. I had a corporate job with Century 21. I got in with their relocation and referral department. And it was my way to get into real estate and still have that steady income, have the 9 to 5 hours for my son. But Century 21 had a global division. Oh, can I say the brokerage that I was with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
The opposite. We want to share more information about other brokerages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if I was sorry.
About that.
So I got involved, and they had a global division, and they were looking for someone to help out and be on this task force to help out with awareness. And I always wanted to take my son, had this thirst for knowledge, and he was so smart, and he wanted to travel the world. And, you know, as a single mom, I couldn't do that. And so through real estate, I was able to make connections all over the world. And, you know, we would do little, you know, can we cut? Sorry. Yeah. My throat
Like
started
trips.
getting dry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
I get choked up when I talk about my son. Sorry.
It's okay.
But so I got involved with the relocation and referral services, global mobility, and I fell in love with global. I got my license, and I started working mostly relocation and referral services, and then saw the opportunities that there were for global, not only referring business around the world, but also right in your backyard. You have students who are coming in, you have companies that are coming in, you work with your economic developers, and you can see the corporations that are coming in, they're bringing a workforce in. So, and it used to all just be corporate relocation, and now again with digital nomads, we're seeing anyone can go anywhere in the world.
No, I love that. And so you started with from corporate. So some people that are in the field, they're just maybe confused, or they don't know the path. So for you that you saw from the corporate side, and you having also been on the field, you know, from when we met, what would be like some suggestions to realtors that you will give them? Like, at least start with these 3 baby steps so you can not get overwhelmed and to know that it's possible?
I would say definitely get your CIPS. That's the first thing to do. Start doing it. You can do it in pieces. You don't have to do it all at once.
Okay.
You can do it online. There's virtual classes, there's in-person classes, but do your CIPS. If your association has a global business council or any type of global program, get involved with that, because that will also help you grow that. And reach out. NAR has global ambassadors. So we have ambassadors, 25 different ambassadors who represent all of our different countries. Reach out to them, sit down and have a conversation. Look at your network and see who you know. Do you know somebody from a certain country? Or is maybe your family in another country? But even if you don't let the fact that you don't have family or friends in another country stop you. You don't have to speak another language. You don't have to travel the world. You don't even have to leave your market. You can do global in your network or in your market. Sorry.
Yeah, I think for that, I mean, for me, it was the opposite. I think the reason that I started in real estate was because I wanted to bridge two different countries. I was struggling to find a place to buy when I was in Mexico, and I had to work with three different realtors. And the experience that I had, I felt like they didn't. I speak Spanish fluently, but I felt like they weren't listening to me and to my needs. And I always tell this story because to me it's super important that not only as any profession, just listen to your client. And so it's two or three requirements for us was to make sure that the places we're looking at it was a wheelchair accessible. So either first floor or elevator. And because my mom is in a wheelchair, and that was our requirement number one. At least we need to have some accessibility. And the realtors will show me a place with stairs, and not only like regular stairs, like these stairs that are like, how do you call them?
Like the spiral.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, how am I supposed to bring my mom upstairs with a rope? I mean, like, and it was really frustrating to buy when I was like, who does their job right here? Because there's so much opportunity for people or any professional that is in the real estate space to take over a lot of market share if you're doing things right. And I think that's so important with the community because I didn't know anybody back then. And that's the reason I got into real estate. I was like, well, there's a huge gap here. I see that, maybe out of 100 people, 2 or 3 people do their job right, not right, but it's expected, have a process in place. They tell you what to expect. They guide you timelines. They tell you what can go wrong too, because people sometimes, you're like, oh no, this is the paradise. You can buy anything. And then you end up with a lot of problems. And I think my mission was like, how can I bridge to different cultures? Even though I'm not from Mexico originally, I was like, there's so much opportunity here and it's in our backyard. It's right here.
Yeah.
And many of my friends that are realtors here in Chicago, they're like, yeah, but you do international. I mean, I just want to focus on what I do right now. And I'm busy as is. And then they don't see the opportunity of having that global expansion or global mindset because it gives you opportunity to send referrals to other countries too, without, like you said, without leaving home.
It does. And sending referrals is the easiest thing. I miss referrals so much because like you said, if you don't have the time, you can be working on your business here. They're great for practitioners who real estate is their second career. Maybe they aren't a full-time realtor. Maybe they're not a full-time agent. Sending referrals is a great way to grow your business. And again, especially you're looking at people who are moving all over the world. They decide they want to buy a home in Costa Rica or Portugal or, Dubai because they can work from anywhere. You're looking at, you can get the listing here and then you can connect with a realtor member around the world, get that referral. And so you have the referral going out, you have the listing here. And so there's lots of opportunity there. And then with that, you're sending it. All you have to do is do the follow-up, do some communication, and it doesn't take a lot of your time.
Yeah, I feel like it's like free money that people don't take advantage of, especially if you have a license. Might as well utilize it to the max capacity because at least in the US, only if you have a license, you can receive commissions from other realtors. In this case, for other countries, sometimes that's not the requirement, but it's extra money that you leave on the table because a referral can be anywhere from a couple $1,000s to several $1,000s, and all you have to do is connect to people, and they're like, Harry, there you go, that close it. You don't have to know anything about the market too much either, right? Like to refer somebody.
Exactly. I mean, as long as you go in and, again, being part of that CIPS network, you can look for a CIPS that's in another country. You can go in, if you're a realtor member, you can go in and you can search by any country. And at least, again, you know who you're referring it to. You know that it's going to someone who, you know where they are, you know where they're located, you know that they've taken those steps to be a realtor member, to abide by that code of ethics, and that they're going to take care of your client. You know, you don't need to know how to do business in another country. We actually recommend that you don't do that because not everyone can be an expert. We wouldn't expect an agent from Portugal or Spain to come here and try to do business. You know, we would want them to refer that. So referrals are a great way to grow your business.
Yeah. And I feel like with that referral network and the lifestyle of referring has been the learning too. So you don't have to know everything to refer, but you can always learn a little bit of that country and then kind of refer or qualify your lead better when you send a referral over to another country. Do you guys have a system like besides CIPS, but I mean, I think that's the main network, to send those referrals and track them? Or it's more like you leave it up to the community?
We leave it up to each individual agent because different brokerages, different referral network have their own networks. You know, some of the different brands have their own referral networks and they have a system that they go through. So I always recommend check with your broker, check with your relocation department, make sure that there's not a referral network in place. But, you know, we have sample referral forms. We're able to, our global ambassadors are always happy to give any advice that they can on those countries. So use them as a resource as well. But yeah.
That's really cool. So then you do even provide the contract. So you don't have to really come up with something on your own. All you have to do is kind of pay attention to where your clients are moving or, you know, people coming and going. Because for us, what happened often is that our clients in Mexico, and I use Mexico because it's kind of where I live now. So I go back and forth and I love it over there. But having that person that can help you in your market. So I still have my license in Chicago, but I don't operate in Chicago to sell, but we have a team here that we can refer to. So most of our clients that will kind of buy in Mexico, they want to sell, let's say, in the cold places, right? Like Midwest, Canada.
Yeah.
And if you're not part of a network that you can send that referral, you probably are missing out on that extra money going the other way. So I think I had to remind some of my agents that are in Mexico that we have that chance to, if you send a referral, it's not only like, okay, thank you, good luck, come back when you have your cash to buy the house here in Mexico. It's more like, oh no, let me connect you with Joe that is in Toronto, and if you want to sell your house, we'll have a 3-way call. And if they have the listing, you in Mexico can make money from that sale in Canada without traveling to Canada. And I think that has been the biggest piece for me. Do you have any success stories on that? And how realtors really like start connecting as friends? That, I mean, first like a professional relationship, then friends because they learn more about their market, and then also making money, which is nice.
Specific success stories, no, but when I look overall at the global network and I look at how things change, and then I look at, you know, our conferences that we have and watching, I mean, we get thousands of realtor members come in from around the world. I look at some of the different conferences. For instance, New York holds a global summit in the fall. They bring in members from Canada, and they had a delegation come in from Portugal last year. So they're bringing people in, and then they network, they get to know each other, because Canada was the #1 investor in US and also in Mexico last year. So we're seeing a lot of opportunities where, again, if you have somebody in Canada, if you have somebody in one of those markets, lots of opportunities for them to purchase. And coming into the country, I mean, Mexico, Canada, China, you know, all big investors. And the median home purchase price for foreign investors was almost $100,000 more on average than the domestic buyer. So even incoming business, you have huge opportunities there to grow with international.
That's awesome. And I remember that we were in the conference that you were given through NAR. And there, I don't know if you can share some statistics, because I really love I thought the US was expensive. But then when we compare it to different markets, I think you compare it to Singapore, Hong Kong, and other main cities, and the US wasn't, it's like, this was like 2x or 3x more in prices. That's why people were like looking at the US as a almost like not a cheap option, but a very decent option. Do you have any statistics on that, on who are, you mentioned the 3 top markets, Canada, China, and which one's the other one coming into the US?
So top buyers coming into the US are Canada, Mexico, China, Colombia, and India. So those are the top 5 investors. Dollar-wise, China is #1. Canada was #1 volume-wise, or by the number of units. Yes. And of course, most of them are buying Florida and the southern states, but there's opportunity all over. New York was in that top, and you see some of the areas. Even Illinois is one of the top; they're in the top 10. So, yeah,
That's a really good opportunity for those that are in the countries that said they're coming in to the US, because sometimes international real estate people will understand that is outbound, but it's also inbound, and it's actually both ways.
it is both ways, and that's where, again, if you're looking at somebody coming into the U.S., partner with look at your economic development coming into the country. Look at who is building. Drive around your community. Look, are there buildings going up? Are there factories going up? Are there what are there tech companies coming in? Because you're going to look. There's going to be foreign investors coming in. If you look around your community, see who's investing. Work with your economic development. Look at or check even with like your immigration and visa department. You can check for EB-5s, like the immigration. But we have all these different local market assessments, and like it literally, like everything is broken down in there, like where to look, like for the EB-5 visa, like where to look for the different things, because they'll tell you who's coming in. And there's another website too. There's a website you can go to. I'll have to look it up. But there's a website you can go to, and it will actually tell you how many applications are in for those different visas.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can see who's coming in. But
and can you access that data? Or can you access that data as part of the CIPS program?
Do you want me to show you really quick?
Maybe. Or maybe after.
Yeah.
I like that, because then it's a good opportunity for lead generation that I didn't think about.
It is, because it's
Only
all public.
for CIPS.
No, that's a public database. So
okay.
that's something you can go to the website. The link is in the local market assessments. We have one for each region. And if you go in there, you can see like which companies have applied for visas. So if you look at that, you can say, okay, in Chicago, this company, and this company, and this company has applied for so much. They're anticipating, maybe 150 workers coming in.
For resources, I feel like there is a lot of resources we don't know about, or we don't take advantage, or people are busy. So what would be kind of your top 3 resources that you would suggest for realtors to see, to look for, and maybe create some lead generation through that process?
I would say, first of all, look at your sphere. Look at your connections. Look at other realtors that are in your network. Look at any connections that you have with any of the multicultural groups. So like the ARIAs or the NARUPs, any of those are a great way to connect with other people, to find those coming in. Look at economic development in your community. So you can see who's coming in, what companies are coming in, what opportunities are opening up.
So what type of organizations or databases people should look at, or realtors can look at, to see and connect with other international networks that you see that is helpful for our network?
Yeah, I would say definitely get involved with your multicultural groups. So look at like NARUP, look at ARIA, look at the LGBTQ plus Alliance. There are different community organizations that you can get involved with. There's economic development, so lots of opportunities. And then, of course, get involved with your realtor association. Get involved with your community. Get involved with the schools, or if there's a university in your area. There's opportunities everywhere. And again, you don't just have to go overseas. You don't have to go travel the world. You can do it right in your backyard.
Yeah, that's very helpful. And we'll put some of the links in the description of this podcast as well, and in YouTube, to make sure that we provide all these. There's a lot of resources, and I didn't even know about half of them when I started talking to you, and I'm like, wait, there's so many. First, the CIPS certification, which I knew about because I'm in the international space, and I don't know if you already passed, but there was one happening in a castle somewhere. Was it like Romania?
There was. So there's different, there are for the CIPS. That's why you can do it online. You can do it in person. And a lot of the realtor associations will do a CIPS course, but then there's also destination courses where they'll do a trade mission. So I've seen Costa Rica, Romania is one that was out there. I've seen them in Dubai, so all over the world. And then they'll partner with the different realtor associations throughout the world and the bilateral partners that we have to set that up so that their members can benefit from that. And then also US members can go and do a trade mission to that country, learn about that country, and also get their CIPS.
I like that. So it's called a trade mission within the CIPS program. And all you do is like an exchange program then. An exchange program that you go, like, back in school, but you guys go to each other's countries to learn more about the market there.
Yeah, it is. And there's quite a few different, a lot of the different realtor associations. I know Chicago Association of Realtors has done them, Illinois Realtors, all over the country, they do them. And there's also inbound trade missions as well. So, as I had mentioned, New York last year when they did their global summit, Portugal brought a delegation of about 12 different realtor members. To come in and see New York. We toured all the different boroughs. They shadowed a realtor member in the city for a day. So it was pretty cool, but it's a great way to exchange that information so that they're learning about real estate here. And when you're visiting another country on a trade mission, you can learn about real estate practices there. And again, you may not know enough to go there and get licensed, and we would never encourage that, but at least you learn about it and, learn the culture and learn how to refer your clients there.
Yeah, and I was talking to a few of our prior, podcast guests on the adapting to the markets, because one thing is knowing the language, but the other one thing is reading in between the lines when you're doing business with other cultures. And I think we're talking about the different terms on how they use, the realtor word or agent or broker is used differently in different countries. But by having that connection with, the exchange program that I want to call it, because it's pretty awesome, because then you get to go to other places and experience, firsthand from another person just like you in your profession or industry to go deeper into whatever they do every day, how different it is. Are there anything that, any differences that stand up to you that you have seen from country to country that, members have told you, well, in the US it's like this, but in my country it's like that?
I mean, the biggest one is the licensing and the regulation. I mean, I know just from my past working with global operations and seeing how different countries were, not regulated, some of the challenges. But again, that's why it's good that we have partners and that we have that available so that they can learn.
Yeah, I think it was fun for me. It was last year that I just did kind of a trade mission on my own. I was like, I'm curious to learn more. And I took it's not a sabbatic year, but I took a year after I left corporate in 2023. And then for a year, I was traveling to different countries to just do this, like connect with our network, talk to the managing brokers from our organization, and then go deeper into talking to realtors there too. So I kind of did my own journey on I'm just gonna do it on my own. And it was fun because talking to other realtors, even from Dubai, I think in Dubai, India, Spain, Portugal, Poland for a little bit. I didn't talk to many. It's an interesting market, very small and but it's still very cheap because the euro is not there yet. So there's a lot of opportunities there. I was in Morocco and I'm just asking questions. I feel like I had these interviews, but just kind of casual without even going into a podcast setting. But it was more like, hey, can I record our conversation and we can put it on YouTube and talk about how is real estate in your market? And with that, I learned so much. And to me, it was more like my exploration mode. I'm like, I'm just gonna go around the world and poke people, say, hey, how is real estate over here?
Yeah.
But then when I learned about all the certifications and everything that we already have here at home, I was like, wait, I should just go the easier route because I was reaching out within our network. But sometimes outside of that network too, at least we don't have an MLS that is universal MLSs in other countries. So some realtors have some listings, some others have others, but they don't talk to each other. So when you are working with your client to send them for a referral, probably that might be a little barrier because, they don't talk to each other. So how do they know each other's inventory?
It can be a barrier, and that again is why we always just recommend you work with an expert in that country. Work with a realtor in that country, or a practitioner in that country. Especially, I always say work with a realtor because then you're going to be working with someone who, even though again there may not be a license, they're at least on the up and up. They there's a little bit more professionalism there. But so I want to ask you, what was the one thing that you saw kind of like a common, as you were interviewing all these different practitioners around the world, what was one thing that you maybe saw that was different from the US?
Well, the MLS was something really big, which I was aware of. But it was also now that we have the NAR settlement, I think when I was talking to some realtors in Spain, and I will send leads to them, they will say that there's this contract and we have to charge a retainer. So the client had to pay ahead of time before even talking to you as a realtor,
Oh.
a retainer, meaning that because they said that clients weren't that loyal, so they would go from realtor to realtor to realtor, and they will spend a lot of time with them, and then they would end up buying with them for X reason. So then by having that retainer, they kind of have a compromise between you and I that I will show you these properties. I'll spend this time with you, not only in the research, because it's manual research, even in Spain. Of course, there's some portals that you can go to, but then literally, if you're telling me this neighborhood in Madrid, go deeper, La Puerta del Sol. But to go and search for certain properties, I have to go manually to maybe in different portals to find you what you want at the price that you want. So I'll be working for you as your personal shopper.
Ah.
And I was like, but my client will give you like $4,000 without knowing you or how you work, because how do you convince them to do that when in the US back then was like, no, my buyer's agent is kind of free. I don't have to pay him or her anything ahead of time. And now I have to pay somebody in Spain just because I'm curious to learn about properties. And I was like, I didn't know that. Because when I sent my client, she was shocked. She's like, no, I'm not going to pay somebody that I don't know $2,000 just to search for me. I can search the web. But even in the web, we don't have everything. So I think that was kind of the my learning. I was like, okay, so with Spain, personal shopper is the buyer representation, and the seller will be the ones that have the listings, but they don't necessarily work together. You just work for your client and find whatever they want.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how all around the world there are different little quirks and different practices. And, again, that's why it's always good just to go with somebody, an expert in that country. And one other thing, we had talked about resources and support. Anywhere you're going in the world, if you're referring somebody, or even if you're taking a trip, like I know you mentioned going all over the world, visiting different realtor members. And I know some of that was through the company that you were with, but we also do have ambassadors who work within those countries. And so they can always introduce you to agents in that country, or they know a little bit more about the practices in and out. So something like that, a situation where if you're going to refer to another country, they may be able to tell you, hey, standard practice is this, this, and this, so that you're not completely blindsided by that. So
Cool.
yeah, so the ambassadors are a great resource.
Is there a website that I can check it out? Who's the ambassador for which country? Or is it like by region?
And no, so we have different regions. So we have 6 different regions. We have global coordinators, and then we have ambassadors who work under that. But we have a whole global alliances directory, and I'll share that information with you that you can push it out to everyone. But it has everything listed by all the different partners that we have in the different countries, which countries we have realtor members in, because we do have over 7,500 realtor members around the world. So lots of opportunities. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
So I think for me, it's been very like I learned so much when I joined your conference through NAR, and all the resources and how people are utilizing right now. But it's not too big because I feel like the international real estate community is very small, and even within our company, I feel like from 80,000 members, probably 80 people pay attention to this.
Yeah.
And I feel like a crazy person that I'm like, oh no, global. And then they're like, oh no, Nathaly, I'm too busy for that. Like, I'm just going to look at my market in Texas and let me know if you have anybody for Texas. And I'm like, I know, but it's so exciting to do international. But it's also very hard. When I was trying to do more of the understanding the market research, and I just have a marketing background and I'm just curious, always curious, asking questions. And I was like, what do you mean? I feel like I felt so alone because I'm like, I feel like I'm the only person talking about this. And I know that it's not a niche. I know there's not a commission right away. It takes a while to close. It's also almost like I would say commercial. Commercial, I think, is a long runway. Maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, but it's a bigger check. Residential is more like every day, every week, you can close leads. For international, it's similar. It's like a year or two, because for somebody to make a decision to buy a vacation home or a place that I can think about myself on retirement time, it's not like they make it like, hey, I'm gonna just go to Mexico and buy something.
Yeah,
it's more like a couple years.
It is, and it can be that slow process where maybe they visited, or maybe they want to go visit, maybe they want a temporary home there. A lot of U.S. investors are investing outside, and they're buying that temporary home, or they're buying something that they'll convert to be an Airbnb, and then eventually they'll make that their permanent home. But again, it's something I'm glad that you brought up, it takes too much time or it's too hard, because it's not. And that's one of the things I'm focusing on this year, is making global accessible to everyone. Because again, it is something that's in your backyard. You can, be a rock star like you and just travel the world and, do all these wonderful things. But, you can also just be even a part-time practitioner, and you can look in your backyard. You can look and see who's moving into the area, who's maybe moving out of the area and moving overseas. Again, with digital nomads, the pandemic changed the landscape of real estate. And so it's opened up huge opportunities. And, when we look at inbound real estate, over $47 billion in investment just in residential. Like, that's not commercial, that's just residential. So lots of opportunities there. So it's worth putting that little bit of extra in and just looking around. Just if you open your eyes and look around at your community, you would be surprised. And there's a lot of agents who may already be doing global business and they don't even realize it. Maybe they're working with foreign investors, and there's lots of opportunities for them to refer business outside of the US as well.
Yeah, because there's always somebody buying or selling something somewhere.
Exactly. And, sometimes it's about asking those extra questions. Or, if you get connected with someone, a lot of times when you're working with the foreign investors and the foreign buyers, you make that connection, and usually there's a family member, or they know somebody, or there's a business connection where they'll refer you to. We both know real estate is a business of referrals and relationships. And so if you take the time to ask those questions, make the connections, educate yourself, that CIPS is a great way to learn some of the cultural ins and outs, how to do business in different countries or with different cultures. And so that'll help you kind of break those barriers and open up more opportunities.
And will you say that CIPS is focused on by region as well, specific to country, or is more general?
No, it's by region. So there's a different module. The newest module that they added was Africa. There's one for Asia. So it goes in, it really dives in. And usually with the classes, it's a day long, going into each culture, each region, and teaching you. Of course, you're never going to know everything. I mean, even if you were to move there or spend, years there. But this at least gives you the tools to know how to respect certain cultures, work with them, just kind of those general etiquettes and cultural respect.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Because just learning about cultures to me is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you mentioned the digital nomads. I am one. So now more people can work from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't you just switch to a place that is, maybe better lifestyle or closer to the beach? Something that I keep talking about, I can't stop talking about it, is when I went to India and Morocco and the lifestyle there. I don't know if I told you the story, but I was staying with my friends and my friends' families. And when I was in Morocco, and thanks to my friend Munia, because her parents were amazing, but they had two maids at all times. And I was like, wait, this is awesome.
Right.
And I was like, I stayed there for a month because I was traveling, and I was going to go to Spain to see my dad after that. But I never thought of the lifestyle, because that was normal there. Like everybody who, like, both of her parents are doctors, but they weren't millionaires. They were like middle class.
Yeah.
And they had a huge house, a mansion.
And they had two maids?
Two maids.
Oh my goodness.
And they had three kids, but they're all in college, and they're just by themselves. And I'm there just like working, and one of the ladies will come, hey, are you hungry? I'm like, yes, no worries. No, I feel like, no worries, I'm okay. No, we'll make you lunch. So they'll do lunch, breakfast, and dinner. They'll do my laundry. They'll make up my bed. And I was like, no worries, because I felt like, and then I realized, wait, this lifestyle is really nice.
Yeah.
I can get used to this.
Yeah.
And it's very normal over there, Africa as well, in India too. My friend, he's not rich either. He was just, he has his maid too, and she will come clean the house every single day and make lunch, and then leave something for dinner, and then she'll go to her next job. And I was like, wait, this is nice. She'll do the laundry and everything. And I'm like, I can get used to this lifestyle. Why no more people don't know about this?
You know how much time I could save if I didn't have to do my laundry or pick up dry cleaning? Like, that would be amazing. I would be happy with just that. But I mean, the whole digital nomad thing, if I could work on a beach from somewhere or work from a hammock somewhere around the world, totally would.
Yeah, and I think we don't realize, but in the US we're so used to doing everything ourselves. And I feel at least some people that I know, they wear a badge of honor because you had to pick up your kids from school, drop them off, feed them, do the laundry, go to the school games and all that good stuff. And you don't have time barely for yourself or your partner. And I feel like, in my opinion, that's the highest reason for divorces, because you don't have quality time for yourself and you always burn out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that happens to many people, but in the US, it's very hard to afford a maid or a nanny is sometimes a luxury. Imagine, somebody who works in your house, 3 people who work in your house full time. I'll be like, that kind of gives you so much time back.
Just the time you get to spend with your kids. I mean, I think back to when my son was young and, I was a single mom. I'm working full time. To have somebody else even to just do little tasks, it's so nice. But, like you said, I think it's a badge of honor. We are a culture of, we exhaust ourselves. And it's almost like that, I don't have time for this. I'm too tired. I'm doing all this. And, that work-life balance is something that, and I know it sounds cliche, but that's why I love referrals, because it's very little work and big reward.
Yes.
So.
And more people should pay attention to that. I think there's the opportunity to make more money outside of you actually doing an activity to make money, because at that point you just get paid for your time. But leveraging your skill and your knowledge and the tools that you're given, and also realizing what's outside of our world here, right? That we live, I feel like we live in a bubble in the US and our own ways. Stepping out of that mindset, I was very happy to have this lifestyle for a month. And I'm like, I can get used to this. And you know what? I'm going to work towards this more, because I don't want to be burning out in Chicago, doing everything on my own. I had to take care of my mom. My mom needs a caregiver, and I had to pay the caregiver. My expenses are this big, and I'm making this much, and I'm barely, I feel like I'm in survival mode.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in Mexico. My mom is taken care of. They're loving people that care for her. I can spend quality time at that point with her without arguing, we didn't do this, or clean up, the bed is wet, things like that I'm like, you just burn out. I'm like, I just give up. Like, I just cannot do this anymore. And here right now, where we are, is like, we have designed a life that we love. Maybe we had to switch countries, but I love the lifestyle that we have created and having observing, because this is not the end. There's more. There's more like, how can you make your life better? Have more time back, in each day. And I think to me that inspired me the most to start this podcast and lifestyle and international real estate, because many people don't know besides their 4 walls, and there's so much in the world out there that I feel people are missing out.
Absolutely. Well, and I love that you're doing this, because it is opening up, because not everyone has that opportunity to go travel. And so you're kind of bringing that experience and that exposure to them to say, hey, these are my experiences. This is what I saw. These are great ways to learn cultures or meet different people. So if you can supplement that with the education, and then of course your network is right there. I mean, you can make so much more, and you can grow your business.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I think I love always chatting with you, because we're always talking about global, and I feel like I'm less crazy when I talk to you, because I'm not alone. And I'm glad that now there's a community that has been going on for a while, but I didn't know about it until now. We know, and we can share those resources with everybody else as well. We have one last question in this podcast, and it's to nominate somebody that that might be the international real estate space or mindset that should be the next guest in here. And it can be more than one person too.
I would say, so we have a really great ambassador. His name is Yoshi. He's Japanese. He's all over the world. So he's another one. The two of you, trying to keep track of the two of you, it's a challenge. Or of course, Dora would be another good one.
Okay, awesome. Then Dora has been nominated, and Yoshi. And I'll get their information later.
I will be happy to make introductions.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
How can people find you online? And if you have a LinkedIn or anything to share?
Yeah, I have a LinkedIn. I have a Facebook. I'll give you the links for all of that. Yeah.
Thank you. So everybody is Stephanie Aker, and we'll give all the information and all the links to contact her directly for any questions on CIPS, NAR, and any other organizations that might be global that we might be missing out on because we just don't know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. I hope today's episode has inspired you to explore new horizons in global real estate. Remember, the world is full of opportunities waiting to be discovered. And with the right insights, you can turn those opportunities into successful investments. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content possible. Don't forget to follow us in social media for more resources and updates. Until next time, my friends, this is Nathaly Salas, encouraging you to think big, invest globally, and transform your real estate journey. Safe travels and happy investing.